thank you.
Well,
If you don't know me, are there any new faces?
yeah.
Yeah, my new friends over here. I'm Carmen, you met me though. But yeah, okay, so I don't know if you guys realize, but on Thursday it's Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Thanksgiving, yeah. Thanksgiving is really cool because you get to eat a lot. That's why I like it especially. But hopefully you're doing what the name says and you're thinking about the things that you're thankful for. For me, I guess I started thinking about the things that I have in my life that I've kind of taken advantage of. The things that I guess I should have been appreciating while I had them and while they were in my life. And that thing that I mostly have taken advantage of would be my grandparents. For me, my grandparents were kind of those white-haired old people who cut coupons and just kind of sat in recliners all day. And it's really weird because they all had their individual recliners. It's like, I don't know if that's something that happens with your grandparents, but mine all really loved recliners. So I'm going to show you a few pictures of my super awesome grandparents. And I'll tell you when to switch over. This is my grandma. Or maybe we can turn off the front light. I think this picture's super awesome. This was taken in May at her 89th birthday party. So she was a really cool lady. She actually just passed away in July. But yeah, she was especially awesome because she thought that wrestling was real. Yeah, she would watch WWE Raw on the regular, and she loved it so much. Yeah, seriously, she was really into it. She thought it was real. I know, she was really cool. And I remember this one time she called me on the phone, and she was doing the regular grandma thing, complaining about arthritis. But then she also asked me if I had ever watched this television program called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And I don't know, for some reason when I was younger I couldn't appreciate someone who used the word program. I think that's really cool about her. And then switch to the next picture. This is my grandpa Chef. It's kind of blurry, I don't know why it's turning out that way. This was her husband. That's my brother, if you know him.
Jim?
Yes, that's my brother way back in '92.
No.
Represent 92. But my grandpa was cool, obviously. He started the trend of flannel. I know, all the hipsters looked up to my grandpa.
Plastic on the lampshade.
I'm sorry, what?
Plastic on the lampshade.
Yeah, that was my house, so I don't know. My parents are obviously great at decorating, too. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, and then you can switch to the next one. And my grandpa also knew how to party. I don't have the original photograph anymore, but this was a project I did in 8th grade. And you take all these little photos and then you condense it into this big one. So all these little photos here make up the big picture, which I think you can see better if you're in the back. This was taken at his 80th birthday party. He's wearing a party hat. I just think this is the coolest picture. And there's a picture of his recliner. That was really important to him. His recliner, he had to have dinner promptly at 5 o'clock. He was a man's man. He liked KFC. Shout out to Mary. Where are you? Oh, she did? Okay.
She was good.
Shout out to her anyway. And apparently in 8th grade, something I remembered about my grandpa was that he took a lot of pills. Because that was in his collage, I guess. That was important. And another really cool thing about him, he was just a champion. My whole life, he just had cancer the whole time, and he battled it and fought it, and he smiled the whole time through it. He was just really cool. If you want to switch to the next picture. This one's another blurry picture, but this is a picture of my Grandpa Johnson. He's the gigantic man, the freak, tall man. That's my grandpa. That's my grandma, and she was about 5 foot tall, so I think they made a pretty interesting couple. I never met her. She died before I was born, but I just think it'd be interesting to see the two of them together walking down the street or something. But obviously, he's a really big guy. He was about 6'4", and every time I went to hug him, I could barely even reach his belly button. He was really intimidating too. He's very tough, and he joined the Air Force actually when he was 17. So he was really tough. He went to Germany, he went to France, to Italy. He participated in the Berlin airlift, and he saw these planes crash in front of him. He was just really kind of a scary guy. But the teeniest hint of snow scared the crap out of him. If he even found out that the weather was getting bad, it was getting kind of flurry outside or something, he would cancel his plans for Thanksgiving or something. Or every year for Christmas, we had to go over to his house because he was too afraid to drive. even though he was this giant man. Okay, and then switch to the next picture. This is him again. Nothing beautiful, baby. Oh, yeah, that was cute.
You were lovely, baby.
Oh, wow. You're cool.
Yeah, so like I said, I really didn't understand my grandparents because I was so young. And I would just remember one year, he bought me this really nice, really expensive LL Bean jacket for Christmas. You know, you're a little kid, it's kind of like, okay. And my mom was at the stage where she's like, oh, Carmen, look at that jacket. It's so nice. It'll be nice and toasty all winter. You go thank your grandpa. Yep, she sounds like Sarah Palin. That just happens to be my mother. But, you know, me at that time, I was kind of like, cool. Like, weren't you the grandpa who bought me my size Barbie last year? I don't know. This coat doesn't exactly compare to it. But, you know, we do that often, don't we? We don't appreciate what we have until it's gone, you know, in my case. Sometimes we forget what we should be thankful for, and almost always we forget to thank the one who gives us these gifts, which is God. And so I wanted to read a passage to you. It's in Luke, and it's about people and the way they choose to show their appreciation for the gifts that God gives to them. So it's in Luke. It says, now on his way to Jerusalem, Jesus traveled along the border between Samaria and Galilee. As he was going into a village, 10 men who had leprosy met him. They stood at a distance and called out in a loud voice, Jesus, Master, have pity on us. Okay, so I don't know if everyone in here knows what leprosy is, but it's this really awful skin disease, and it's very painful, and there's sores all over your body, and sometimes you could even lose feeling in your extremities, and maybe even lose your fingers or your nose, something like that. And also, people would kind of cast you off, so even your own mother would kind of disown you, kind of thing, because they didn't know where it came from or how it was caught, and even sometimes they would think that it was your fault or your parents' fault, that someone had sinned. So you were kind of plagued with this awful punishment for being a bad person. So these people are calling out, asking, have pity on us and heal us. When he saw them, he said, go show yourselves to the priests. And as they went, they were cleansed. So these guys are healed. One of them, when he saw he was healed, came back, praising God in a loud voice. He threw himself at Jesus' feet and thanked him, and he was a Samaritan. And the reason that they're pointing out that he's a Samaritan is because, you know, Jews and Samaritans didn't exactly get along. They had this really dark history, and so Samaritans were hated by the Jews. And so this guy was doubly outcasted. He was a Samaritan, and he has leprosy. And so the fact that Jesus is even talking to him, let alone healing him, is kind of, you know, it would have been shocking at the time. Where am I? Okay. Jesus asked, were not all 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9? Was no one found to return and give praise to God except this foreigner? Then he said to him, rise and go, your faith has made you well. So of all the 10 people who were healed, only one came back to thank Jesus for what he did. But I want you to think about it. You know, how often do we do that in our own lives? For me, my grandparents were these amazing people, and they were just a gift from God, and I didn't make the effort to appreciate them while they were here. So what I want you to think about is, who are you giving thanks to? Are you living life thinking that all the good stuff is coming to you because of what you're doing, what other people are doing? Or are you realizing that God is the one who's bestowing all these awesome gifts in your life? And I think it's really important for you to realize that life in itself, you know, waking up every morning, life there alone is the greatest gift. You didn't give birth to yourself, and if you did, I'd like to know how you did it, because that's kind of amazing. But you were created, right? You were created, and you're there for a reason and for a purpose. How are you choosing to live your life as a gift? What you do with your life is up to you. You can do whatever you want. God gave you free will, you know. But are you going to be the Samaritan man and give thanks to God and come back to God and say, you know, there's these really great things in my life, and I appreciate that. So how can I, in turn, serve you? And so I want you to think about if that's the way that you're choosing to live your life, giving thanks to God. If that's what you want to do, then, you know, come see any of the leaders. We can show you what that looks like. We can tell you how to take the steps and what that looks like to live a life being thankful to God. You know, all of your leaders are here for you. We're here to serve you, to listen to you, whatever you want. So just come to us. We're completely open. And just remember this Thursday on Thanksgiving, and every day, really, honestly, remember to be thankful for all that you have in your life, and remember who you have to thank for all those things in your life. And so I just want to leave you with a part of my grandma's favorite psalm. And she read it to my grandpa as he was dying. So it's really important, really special to me. If you say, "The Lord is my refuge," and you make the Most High your dwelling, no harm will overtake you, no disaster will come near you. For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. Thank you guys for being so patient and for being respectful. And I'm just going to pray and then we can go across the street.